All right, fine, I'll do it. Yo, what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Jay, I can't even do it. Rest in peace, A Drive. Yeah. Hey, everybody. We're doing this thing again. Yeah, we're gonna be going over the teams. I got a couple of compliments from last season when we did it, or I did it. It's just me. Nobody else is here. No, but yeah, we're gonna review all the teams. I don't know why I'm not on the first one. There we go. There's the first one. This is gonna be Masterball. We're gonna Masterball video it up. We're just going to go over the teams based on the draft. I know there's gonna be some moves before the season started, so these aren't the final teams. But let's see how everyone did in the draft. I'm gonna be brutally honest. If somebody I feel is missing a piece, I'll mention it. If somebody had a really good draft, really strong draft, I'll mention it. I'm gonna reveal some modes. I don't care if they're secret or not. I'm just gonna talk about them. Yeah. In the end, it's gonna be a fun season. I think the restricted season's a lot of fun. I think the really broken ones are a little hindered with the teams not being able to have some depth. But the more value picks, so I might kind of reference that as well. But let's just dive into it. So I'm gonna just go in the draft order. So again, this is just based on how the draft finished. Okay, so Kev's team, this one right here, Supernova Jirachi. I just got off work, everybody, so shut up. Okay, so Kev's decided to go with the Koraidon pick. First overall, I thought it was a good pick. It's really hard to pass up one of those two really broken box legendaries with their broken abilities, and then you just build a team around that. So the first two picks were that of the draft for Kev's and LA. So, but the first of the two, we got Koraidon here. Clearly, there's a theme of sun. The cool thing is I don't think this team is like all sun. I think this team looks really nice in the sun, and you definitely have to prepare for it. I think every team should have a way of setting rain or another weather. Usually it's just the opposite because it hinders the the sun abusers. Yeah, so I think that's the way they're going to go against it. But when you have a Primarina right there, it's really hard to set the rain because that thing can just go off as well. And also Azelf getting coverage as well, and Weatherball I see a couple of different places, which is really nice. But yeah, I thought Kevs did a good job. Like I said, he didn't dial in on a specific mode only. Obviously there is a little bit of a theme here, but it's not only sun. The type chart, obviously it doesn't look fantastic, but I'm not a huge type chart guy, if as long as people know me. I see he's got obviously the quad weakness on his Koraidon, but he also has a Charizard for a resist. So Charizard has a decent enough special defense. 85 is pretty good, and it resists the fairy just fine. So I think it's just fine. I think Charizard's fine. You might have to lean on it. By the way, Solar Pad Charizard is busted. I think Koraidon Charizard is a really nice and cheap combo. I for him to recognize that, shut up, Kevs. For him to recognize that is just shut up, Kevs. It's really smart. No, it's a tier 4 to have 100 speed and basically get a free specs, and then you could put a real specs on it if you really wanted to, or a scarf. Now this thing is just hitting so hard, and Koraidon and Charizard hit very differently. Very, very differently. You've got your Dragon Fighting Stab, which is crazy, and then you have your Charizard hitting with fire, boosted by the sun, and the specs, and the solar power, if that's the way he goes. So yeah, that lead is going to be very, very nice. Yeah, he's got the Sableye here, which is a really, really nice addition, because now you can set the sun a second way if you really wanted to enable the rest of your team, or they change it, and you can just change it back without switching your Koraidon out. So I think Sableye with Koraidon on the field at the same time is nice. Yeah, I think Kevs did a really good job. Primarina was my GOAT last season anyway. So I see redirection. I see a lot of offense up front. And the Incineroar as well is just probably the most versatile Pokemon in the league, or one of them. And No, like the only gripe I possibly have is why Blossom and Skiploom? Why both of them? Doesn't make any sense to me. I guess Rage Powder, but that's pretty much the only difference between the two. Like, one can have an Eviolite, I guess. But yeah, they both get Sleep Powder. They both get really crappy offense. Well, Blossom's okay at what, 90? No, it's 80 or something, right? Blossom, where are you? Yeah, 80, 90. Yeah, it's not going to hit very hard. I like it. You know, the after you is nice. You know, the double speed after you, I think it's really nice. Strength sap. Yeah, like there was actually a strat I used to run where Blossom, I would skill swap which prank Sable I can do. You can prankster skill swap Blossom, and then you get a prankster after you. So you can run like priority focus punches and stuff like that, which is insane. So that was a fun little thing. If that's what you were planning on doing, well, surprise. Anyway, I usually take super long on the first team, and it usually makes the rest of them shorter, and because I just got to move. But no, I love every pick on this team. The Mischievous is obviously there for its role. The Electabuzz for redirection. You have offense from everywhere. You might be missing some coverage somewhere, which I can't really identify. Like, he's got his fairy, he's got the fire, he's got the water, he's got kind of grass, I guess. But grass is usually secondary moves on most things. Like, what's it called? Primarina gets Energy Ball, I think, and Charizard gets Solar Beam. You know what I mean? So, like, the grass stab, you really want defensive grass switching for, like, your ground and your electric and things like that. So yeah, he's got the coverage he needs, but don't let the type chart fool you, because I feel like he has resists in all the right places. Like how are you going to be hitting Koraidon? You're going to be hitting with Fairy. He's got maybe one more switch in, like maybe a poison type or something like that. Like, you know, like maybe a poison type would be nice, just so your only switching isn't just Charizard, just to protect your Koraidon a little bit more. Flying, yeah, maybe I prefer that you had another switch in. Like, redirection flying is nice. Like, the only spread flying is, I think, Air Cutter, and I think Koraidon's just fine. But yeah, I don't think Koraidon's going to rely too much on the Terra, because the team is just really nice. He's got redirection, he's got fake out, he's got damage mitigation, things like that. So yeah, very nice job. Eat shit. Anyway, next team. Oh, that was to Kevs, by the way. Now you've got the second box legendary with Los Angeles Linoones or Linoones. I have a little bit of a hand in this team. Me and LA were kind of going back and forth. He's actually in Japan right now, and he should be back pretty soon for the start of the season. So we built this before he left, and kind of rolled with it as the draft went on. So not perfect. I can kind of point out some of the modes and some of the weaknesses and where, you know, issues. By the way, the first two drafts that we just went over, Kev's and this one as well, 2 80-point mons. Like, they went for like the 80-point model, which means that your last three free picks down here can only be a tier 4 and 2 tier 5s. So other teams with less expensive legendaries are going to have better free tier slots for sure, so we can go over that as well. I think he did an okay job. I think Heracross is a really nice pick for the bat. I love how the first thing I mentioned on this team is a Heracross. He's got a freaking Miraidon, and he's got the Iron Hands here, which is the Pokemon that doesn't even need its ability to be the most broken Pokemon ever, and on this team you can actually use its ability, which is very nice. You pretty much just get a free Life Orb, like almost a Life Orb, because I think the Core Tribe gives you 25% boost, and Life Orb gives you 33% or 30%, one or the other. No, but Iron Hands I think is great. The Miraidon obviously is going to enable the majority of the team. On Kev's team, I said that the team isn't 100% dialed in on the Sun. This team is 100% dialed in on electric terrain. This team will do well in electric terrain. The Hands doesn't need it. The Leaves does, I think. The Leaves does have really, really nice supportive options. I think it gets coaching, you know, and things like that. It gets a few other options as well, but just look them up. But the Magmar's nice for redirection. The Volbeat I had last season, which is very nice as well. Prankster Tailwind is just always nice. It can enable things that usually aren't as threatening on paper, like Glaceon, things like that, or Swampert, or, you know, and and just go from even Heracross, right? Heracross, you give a loaded dice, that thing's, he gets all, it gets all the double hit moves, triple hit, multi-hit moves. So shout out Mega Heracross with Skill Link. But we got an item for that, boys. Yeah, so I actually recommended he grab the Raichu because I feel like that thing with double speed is insane, and the support you get on the Miraidon is just, for the Miraidon, is just beautiful. Like you get Encore, you get Nuzzle, you get E-Web, things like that. I think you get both screens. I could be wrong. Usually Pokemon only gives one for some reason, but in the end, yeah, I think this is really nice. Iron Leaves, by the way, with its broken move, it's like, what's that move called? Where is it? Showdown. Forget it. It's the broken move that it gets in electric terrain. I think it's a psychic move. Not Psy Strike. That's Mewtwo. I forget what it is. This is a psychic move that does double damage in electric terrain, and with 130 attack and its stab, any sort of damage boosting item like a choice band or something like that, or even a life orb or whatever, is just going to do so much damage. And psychic hits most things neutrally, so it should be okay. And it also hits differently than the Miraidon, so I think these two are going to be very, very nice. The hands, obviously, is going to be the team's MVP, I think. Miraidon is going to enable all of it and just hit really hard. So you got the Swampert just so you can discharge and Parabolic Charge next to it, which I think is very nice. Being able to use that spread move is just beautiful. And obviously you have Terra Ground on the rest of the team if you wanted to, but just being able to save your Terra would be really nice. I don't think Miraidon needs to Terra, which, unlike the Koraidon with the quad weakness, the Fairy, which is just really common. Usually Terra Fairy is one of the best type Terras in the game. Miraidon doesn't necessarily need to Terra, and in VGC, usually you see Miraidon just Terra Electric just to get rid of its other weakness and boost its damage even further. So it's more of an offensive Terra than defensive. So Miraidon definitely doesn't need to Terra. I think Glaceon would be really nice with Terra Electric as well. Just having the Bolt Beam coverage and boosted by the terrain is, I think, really, really nice. You definitely get the Electric Steed stuff if you wanted to. Just say you have a matchup where defensively you just want to boost yourself. I think it'd be really, really nice to get an Acrobatics mod on this team of some kind. Then you could just Electric Seed Acrobatics, and I think it just does stupid amounts of damage. So maybe like a Braviary or something like that. I think it'd be really nice in Tier 3. Not sure what you give up, just throwing it out there. But no, when you have an 80-point model, you're kind of limited. So he's got his Redirection, he's got his Prankster Tailwind, he's got his Fake Out. One of them, I believe, he has 2 Fake Out mods. So he's got a fast one, a slow one, but the ground weakness is navigating that ground weakness on this team all season is going to be the key to victory every week. Like, yes, he has other types that, might do the same or better. Not having a Ghost Resist kind of sucks. And Dragon with all the all the legendaries that the Restricted's having Dragon Stab, I think not having a Dragon Resist is going to hurt. And the fact that Terra Fairy's going to save him, because if you can't go Terra Steel on this team, you just can't. Too many ground weaknesses already. So it's got to be Terra Fairy. Yeah. So we'll have to see how that goes and how he navigates that. But this team also can just output so much damage immediately. This team will do best when it puts you on your back foot immediately. So turn 1, it's going to be very, very big. Navigating the electric terrain, keeping it on the field, preserving that Miraidon, I think is going to be key. And we'll see how he goes. He's a good player, and yeah, we'll see how he plays it. Let's go on to the next. Oh, should you make a move? I don't know. Maybe. Looking at this team, I usually say, should we make a move? I don't know where you would do it. That's the thing. I think you have all the pieces that you need. Yeah, I just think it's tough. It's hard to fit everything on the team. I had this issue when I was trying to build for an 80-point model as well for my draft, and I didn't go with that. I went with a 60-point. But just so you can get that extra tier 2 for another piece. So you don't... Heracross is a good mon, but it's not a tier 2. So nothing against this little derpy mon. Anyway, moving on to the next team. Great Marsh Gastrodons. Speaking of model, he went with a 20-point model, which was not surprising. I was curious to see how people would treat this. what the focus would be, and I knew somebody was going to go for it. There were a few 20-pointers that were, okay to use. 40-pointers I thought was the bread and butter of it, like where people would get the most value. But I thought he did a good job. I'm not 100% sold on everything on this team. Like, you don't have super obvious modes. Like, you got the Iron Moth, which was a really, really nice add. Like, he's got the Spiritomb for Trick Room setup. The Electros is just a nice, well-rounded mon as well. Vileplume's pretty slow and hits differently than Electros. So, yeah, I think the Lugia definitely has the tools to set up. You can definitely tell the team was built to enable the Lugia. Like, you've got, what's it called, the Sand mode with the Hippopotas and the Excadrill. I think Hippopotas is just fine. It doesn't have the output that Hippowdon does, but you strap an Eviolite on that thing, it just yawns and you can't really ignore it. So it gets Helping Hand, I think, as well. So Excadrill can just go off even further. Mousehold, people forget about Mousehold. Like, Mousehold went from like one of the most dangerous mons ever, which basically caused everyone to use King's Rocky Helmet, just for the Pop Bomb to just kill itself, the attacker or Mousehold to kill itself. But Mousehold does stupid damage. Like, Technician, Population Bomb, Wide Lens, like, oh my goodness. The fact that this thing is still a tier 1, it's not a bad tier 1. It is a good tier 1. You got the Friend Guard, Follow Me, which is just a beautiful combination we've seen on Clefairy for quite some time. And it's just a staple, and Mousehold just does it well as well. Like, Lugia loves to get Calm Minds off. So, like, it's not... The thing about Lugia's not going to do a lot of damage up front. It's just not. Like, 90 offenses, like... It's just not. Like, Lugia... If you can keep this thing from boosting itself, you're probably going to win. Like, it's going to stick around on the field for a while, but all my friends are dead. Like, you just kind of, at the end of the game, just double it up, right? No, he definitely has other supporting mons that you have to focus on. Like, you've got the Mousehold, obviously, the Excadrill and the Sand mode. You have the Iron Moth, just does a ton of damage. Araquanid with its Water Stab just does stupid amounts of damage. And then Grimmsnarl just to be a big pain. So yeah, the Lugia definitely has the tools to go off. The way Great Marsh likes to play is he kind of likes to go against what the team does, which might be a little bit of a detriment to... I think he would have more success if he leaned on a little bit more onto his better modes. Like, I think Lugia is just a really nice setup mon, but like I can see him just leaning on like a different mode, like going Trick Room with like Electros or something like that, or just Mousehold offense. Like, I can see him doing that because like you prep so hard for the Lugia so it doesn't set up, because it's really hard to kill once it does. But just the way he plays, I feel like he's just gonna like not lean on it, and which is fine. I think it's a way of going at it. But like, the Lugia does what it does well, and there's a reason it does well. But I just hope he leans on some of his stronger modes rather than kind of goes for like the unique, interesting stuff, which is more fun. In my opinion, it's more fun to kind of play with your food. But I think he's definitely a first place player. I think Great Marsh can be a first place player for sure. He's won a championship in our league before, and he earned it for sure. And he's always contending. But my encouragement would be to lean on what your team does best. Try not to go against the grain too much. Like, I see you've got Earthquake stuff, which is really, really nice. You got the Electros and the Lugia, things like that. The Mousehold redirecting. I think Excadrills can set up really nicely. Vileplume, Sleep Powder is always a pain. Spiritomb, I had it. It's fantastic. And then you just have natural damage. So, yeah, I think this team's not bad. It doesn't have as much of an identity as the other teams, but which is good in Draft League because, you know, people can't just zone in on an obvious mode or anything. But yeah, well, I'll have to see how it goes. Like, I think Lugia with like Tailwind, things like that, could be very nice to enable the rest of the team. And you don't have to rely on anything specific. So good luck prepping against this team. It doesn't look like a fun time, but maybe if you can overwhelm this team with offense right up front, might be helpful. But Grimmsnarl's there to set screens in your face if you want to do that. So it's really tough to do. Great Trick Room setter too. My goodness. I think Spiritomb's so underrated. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I haven't been doing ratings, but oh yeah, a move. So I was gonna say Cyclizar, but Cyclizar is only a tier 4. Like I don't know what you're gonna get in tier 4 that's super valuable anyway. I like the top picks. Like he's got his Excadrill, the Mousehold, the Lugia, the Iron Moth, the Araquanid, the Grimmsnarl. I think those are all just really good mons. Like he threw very good Pokemon on the screen, and this is my team. Yep. So I wouldn't make any moves. I kind of want to see how this thing plays. I like a lot of the mons on this team. Like I had Iron Moth on my plan. I've never wanted a Araquanid, but I'm very afraid of it. So it just goes to show you. And Mousehold is great too. Excadrill is just great. Vileplume's great. Electros, Spiritomb. Yeah, a lot of fun mons on it. So we'll have to see how it goes. Hawaiian shirt. Ho-Ohs. Oh, Ho-Ohs. Got it. Not as strong of a draft as he had last season. Hawaiian shirt Ho-Ohs is our defending champion. He was Texas Landsharks, switched up the name to his old legendary. I think we did restrict his once, and he was Hawaiian shirt Ho-Ohs. And he got his Ho-Oh. He's 4th overall, and he got it. 40-point model, our first 40-point model. So let's see how he did. I think he does have a bunch of transactions going this week as well that are coming in. He publicly announced that Ogerpon's being dropped. So, but I'm just gonna rate the team as is. Not the strongest draft in my opinion. I don't think he did super great. I really didn't understand what the goal was. Like I know he grabbed his Ho-Oh, fantastic. He got his Ogerpon, cool. The Suicune, awesome. And then it just kind of got weird. Just like you just kind of draft a bunch of ways to support those 3 or 4, and it's like okay. And I felt like later in the draft it was just like let's just grab something good. Iron Boulder, cool, that's good, right? Which it is. And it's like Rotomo, that's a good mon. Yeah, it is. It's pretty good. It's not his first time around with it. I think he's had Rotomo. Likes to get a Rotomo seasons, I think, if I remember correctly. Sneasel, it's a good mon. You know, Riolu, it's a good mon as well. Probopass, it's no nose pass, but, you know, it's a Probopass. Again, it's a tier 4. Like, what do you want, right? And then you got your cheap redirection in tier 5. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, you know what's funny? Like, people don't realize, like, they go Sentret. This is not the first time people have drafted Sentret. Guys, like, Magby and Elekid both get Follow Me, and they have secondary effects when you do redirect on contact. So, Static and Flame Body, go get those. Why are you guys messing around with Sentret? Anyway, yeah. So about this team, I think like I see some modes. Like the Boulder's just really strong, not being able to protect in front of it, which is nice. I think coaching Riolu, being able to boost this Boulder's weakest stat, which is defense. I think it is. Where is it? Iron Boulder. Yeah, it's crazy special defense, which is great. And then it's so fast too. Like I think like coaching next to this thing would be fantastic. Just be a little bit of a Terra Hog, and yeah, coaching fits really nicely on this team. Actually, I think coaching the Goodra is really nice as well, and the Ho-Oh, like same thing with its special defense so high. You just boost its weakest stat, which is its defense. Yeah, so I think the Riolu is probably the nicest piece on this team. Suicune's just old reliable. Suicune's just really nice. It's usually the team that gets it usually does fairly well. The Ogerpon, haven't been impressed in draft with it. Like I know some people have opinions on stronger mons in draft being worse than in VGC. I think you just got to build a team around it, and most things can have success. Like I got Fluttermane, we'll get to that, and people usually don't endorse that for draft, but it's a Fluttermane. You know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to run this team. I think he's changing almost like 40% of the team. So I guess I'm kind of wasting time. The Salamence was one of his last picks, and I had Salamence before, and so was he. I just think adding a Dragon type and Intimidate to this team is really nice. Yeah, so again, these are just good mons thrown onto a team. I think there was a little bit of planning, I think. You know, like maybe he was kind of shooting from the hip with some of these picks. But the Riolu was nice to go with the Goodra and go with the Ho-Oh and the Iron Boulder. I think those were nice. But other than that, it's just a bunch of good mons on the screen. So I wouldn't rate this one of the higher teams. No offense, Will, but maybe a little bit of offense. But don't beat me in the finals. Now I won't talk shit about your team. Anyway, yeah, no, not one of the better teams, I think. I think it could do well, obviously. It comes down to the player, the in-game decisions, and team building. So we'll have to see how it goes. Maybe he improves the team and does a little bit, but not a huge fan of this team, in my opinion. But moving on. Before I even look at this team, I'm just going to say that Space Draft's probably one of the top 3 teams every season. If not, next to Noah, he's probably our best drafter. It is very, very rare to find him with a bad team. And I don't think this team's any exception. I feel like he did really well. There was a focus on physical attack. Like he wanted to dial in on the Chiempao and the Zacian, which is a really nice combo, the 40-point Zacian. So this one can't use the crowned form, which are the crazy stats and getting the steel type, but this thing still gets a +1 when it enters the field. And 138 speed. I think this is a great pick. Like 120 attack. We forget Chiempao is 120 attack. And it hits so hard. And yes, it has the sort of ruin ability. Zacian gets a +1, which is a bigger boost than the negative 25% defense. So, yeah, like I think Zacian's just crazy. And a fairy type too. It's just a great defensive typing. I don't think you need the steel type on Zacian to do really well. Clearly he wanted to throw as many physical attackers that can benefit from the Chiempao sort of ruin, which I don't know if I 100% agree with. Like maybe a couple of them I think is really nice. The Entei, the Zacian, cool, and the Zapdos. Like the Zapdos is definitely there for Defiant. I don't think there's any secret there. But at the same time, Chiampao's not going to be on the field all the time. With its quad weakness and all of its weaknesses, it has a ton of them. Was it Fairy, Steel, Rock, Bug, Fighting, Fire? Those are pretty common types, so it's not going to stick around long, hence the focus sash most weeks that you usually see it on most teams. So yeah, like the sort of rune's going to be active, for a few turns, but not the entire game. It's not going to stick around long. So I think maybe just swapping out maybe the Haxorus. I think the Haxorus is just such good value in tier 3, honestly. This was dropped this season from tier 2 to 3, and I'm kind of glad somebody took advantage of it because this thing just hits so hard. 147 base attack and a respectable speed, and it's dragon typing, so it's going to resist most of the hits it takes. So I think the Haxorus is great. Honestly, I know what the Zapdos is there for. I'd probably get rid of the Zapdos. I think grabbing something like a Milotic or something like that, he's had it before. And I think he would do well with it, and he plays it really well. And it fits. Like, he's got the Samurott there in tier 4, which I think is, again, really nice value, is on my plan as well. But I decided to go a different way. But, yeah, the Zapdos, just to deter the Intimidate. I feel like a lot of the time Mirror Herb is just used as a deterrent to the deterrent, if I can even say that. Oh, no, I've gone cross-eyed. But I feel like Mirror Herb is just... You get a +1 because I intimidated you. You get the +2. So now you -1 +2, you're +1. But I get a free +2. So thank you very much. So it's almost like people would want to activate it on their own. Like, it's just like, yeah, I will. I want to do it. So a deterrent is designed to have you stop intimidating. So intimidating the Zacian, the fact that it only gets a boost once, Clear Amulet is an option, which I think is probably the best item on it. Just so you can't reset that attack boost it gets. But it has to stay on the field for it to keep it because it can't get it again. No, but in the end, I'm rambling about this team. I think this team looks really nice. Sceptile is just a really nice supportive piece. It's basically got one good special attack in it. Like, a Leaf Storm from this thing's going to hurt. But, yeah, see, 105 special attack. Here's the thing. A Leaf Storm, because it's 130 base power... It's going to hit hard once, So if they pivot and resist it, you have to get it off the field so it can hit again. So it's basically got one nuke, and then because Energy Ball just isn't hitting very hard. Not with 105 special attack. It's just not. So Sceptile's that kind of there for like support. Like it's got, what's it called? The Dragon Cheer stuff and other things as well. And it's just really fast. So I can see it, being nice as a piece. It's not very bulky. Like 85 special defense is okay. 70 HP, underwhelming. 65 defense. Like usually your grass type wants to be a switch in for ground type moves. That's usually what you want it for. And just like many other teams, he has 4 weaknesses, 2 resists. He's got the immunity is Zapdos, and the resist is the Sceptile. So Sceptile, pretty much all ground moves except for Earth Power are going to be physical, right? So this thing isn't going to take ground moves super, super well. So that and a team that kind of needs a nice ground switch in, like, it might do the job, but yeah, it's a tier 4. What do you want, right? Like, it's funny. I think a bug type would be nice on this team. Just saying. The Registeel, very, very nice. I feel like when people draft Registeel on their team, you kind of have to, it's a win condition, right? Iron Defense Body Press, you eliminate the special attackers, this thing doesn't die. Game over. So I would see Terra Ghost being a good way to go on this team. I think Chiampow's a nice piece to stop that from happening. But if you get rid of the Chiampow, like I mentioned earlier, saying it doesn't last very long, Terra Ghost looks pretty damn good into this team, especially with the Zapdos. So yeah, maybe a nice dark type. I don't think he has a dark type. Which one? Oh, Chiampow. Another dark type. Does he have a ghost type? No. Yeah, go grab a ghost type. There you go. Drop the Zapdos, grab a ghost type, or Milotic, or something like that. But Espeon, very nice. 130 special attack in tier 4 is just, can't get much better than that value. So, and then the Goat Pikachu. So, yeah, look out for that thing with Light Ball. Like, I know he's kind of afraid to run it, but that thing does so much damage. Like, especially if you can get like the redirection beside it, like Pachirisu. Yeah, like this thing, it just hits so hard. You just follow me, and then Pikachu can either fake out, and then you nuzzle or just discharge, or then you get the Lightning Rod boost, and Pikachu can discharge itself, and you got the Volt Absorb, and yeah, very, very good low tier option on this team. But no, overall, nice job. I think he went with a theme, the physical side, having the Chiampao enabling the rest of it, and yeah, very strong. He's got the E-Speed stuff as well with the Sword of Ruin. So, is there upper hand? Yeah, Sceptile, upper hand, weakness policy, Entei. Yeah, very cool stuff. He's got some modes. I like this team. So he always drafts good schemes, and this season's no exception. So, cool. Team 5, our 8-0 Ultra Ball team. Did not win last season in Ultra Ball, but I thought he deserved as everybody did. I thought everybody thought he deserved a promotion. It sucks that the playoffs didn't go his way. I think it was a first round knockout actually, which kind of sucks. But Tommy deserves a shot, and I think everybody wants to see what he can do up here. So see how he does, and let's see what tools he had to get it done. So another theme, we got the Kyogre Rain team, which the pieces to enable that: Tornadus, super great. Serena, switch in for electric and grass moves. You got the redirection with Clefairy, the lightning rod for redirecting the electric moves, the Swift Swim user. Yeah, and then you got the Basculin with the adaptability water moves as well on the physical side in the rain. So is this too much rain though? Like, is it? Because I was talking about this earlier. Is like, does a team rely? Is it? Is that it? It can do other things, don't get me wrong. I just feel like if you stop the rain, this team is kind of, yeah. You set the sun on this team. Like, I don't even see Weather Ball on this team, do you? Because one of the ways you can deal with, what's it called? Anti-weather is just have Weather Ball. Your weather, his weather, their weather, doesn't matter. It still goes off with 100 power, so I think Tornadus gets Weather Ball, actually. So, yeah, I would just set the sun on this team and just play in the sun. Like, Kyogre can't hit its Thunders, can't hit its Water Spouts, Wide Guard's great against Kyogre, that's the thing, right? It's only Water Stab other than Water Pulse is spread, so if you Wide Guard, yeah. This team, Torn wants to run Bleak Wind, you've got your, what's it called? You got your Orange Impulse and Water Spout, your Icy Winds, your E-Webs, things like that on this team. Yeah, you definitely want to run Wide Guard against this team if you got it. Not every team has it. Tons of Fake Out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. If you can stop this Kyogre and this Tornadus, I feel like you're gonna win. But if you can't, this team's just gonna run through you. Like, Kyogre Tornadus is such a phenomenal combo. Yeah. Pick your terror wisely, because it's hard to stop Torn Kyogre or Torn Ogre. I like Raichu. Like the way I might play a certain week on this team is like maybe have the Ogre in the back, and then your front row is just such a pain. Like you got Fake Out, they can't switch. You got like Raichu Goth. It's kind of interesting actually because you got double Fake Out. Obviously, you don't want to do it the same turn, but you know one of them can Fake Out, the other one could just be a pain. Like Raichu nuzzling the front row, you know, encoring the front row. You can't switch. You can't do anything about it. You know, and then when the Kyogre comes in, now it just has like a completely depleted front, you know, defense on your side of the field, and now you can't stop it from doing what it wants to do. You can't get a sunny day off because you're parad, whatever it might be. You got your speed controls lost because the nuzzle's gone off. Yeah, and Clefairy just makes it stick around for longer. So Kyogre definitely has the tools for success, but is it too much focusing on the Kyogre? I don't know. We shall see. I feel like Tommy had such a good draft in Ultra Ball last season. I think he brought the majority of the same weeks, the same 6 every week. I don't think you can do that with this team. I think Master Ball is a different animal. And we'll have to see how it goes. Like he definitely played well. The team did a lot of the lifting, but I also think he's a good player as well. So let's throw him into the ocean, see if he can swim. No pun intended, because there's a Kyogre right there. Anyway. All right, moving on to actual Kyogre Canucks. You know, I didn't even intend that segue, but here we are. All right, we'll run it. Yeah, we'll leave it in. We'll leave it in. Yeah. Riley always drafts interesting teams. And when I say interesting, I mean he's got a little bit of just obvious modes, like the Ogerpon, the Urshifu, the Corviknight, the Garganacl. They do what they do, right? The Orthworm, pretty standard. And he's got his Persian back that I see. Yeah. The old MVP, a lowland Persian. So where do we start with this team? The Eternatus. I think me and Kevs, when we did the ratings of the, what's it called, the value of the restricteds, I think Eternatus was number 1, and a lot of people agreed. But I'm surprised it fell to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. Ho-Oh was taking over it at 40 points. We had Lugia was taking over at 20. And then we had 80 pointers across the board before that. So, and Zacian at 40 points. Yeah, so clearly it wasn't seen the most valuable by a lot of people, or maybe they just didn't want to build around Eternatus. But Riley was probably very happy it fell to 7. So let's see how he made out. You got the Ogerpon Hearthflame. Made it to the finals last season with my team. Very, very difficult to deal with. It just does so much damage. It Ho-Ohs resisted hits sometimes in some cases. That's not easy to do. Being able to Terra, get your +1, and then you just hit so damn hard. Like we were talking about 120 base attack on the Chiempao, just because of the passive ability, just being able to hit so hard. 120 is just a number. It's a low, not low. It's not the highest number ever. But at the same time, at +1, 50% boost right off the bat, and you have the high crit chance, and then all your moves are boosted by 20% with the embodies aspect. Yeah, I think that was a very, very nice add. Being able to get 2 tier 1s with this model on the 40-point model is just very, very appealing. Yeah, so the Eternatus, the Ogerpon. Eternatus being a really nice switch in for Ogerpon as well, because I had a hard time with Poison last season with Ogerpon. I also had a Prim, mind you. So Poison was very good into my team, and not a lot of teams have great stab Poison. So, at least he's got something, right? The Eternatus. It's not a perfect switch in because the ground still kind of hits it neutrally, and if you Terra, it still threatens it. So it's really hard to Terra this thing and when to Terra this thing. So, but the ground resists. You got the Grookey. It's a Grookey. The one thing it's got going for it is it makes your Earthquakes half power. And Earthquake is a very strong ground move. So, but that's not, there's high horsepower, the Stomping Tantrum, Earth Power, things like that, which it doesn't have any effect on. But being able to eliminate a very common ground move to deal with your team, I don't mind it. And then you got your, your priority Grassy Glides with the Ogerpon as well in the grassy terrain with its +1. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I can see Grookey coming to more games than we think. So watch out for that. And then you just have old reliables everywhere. You got Corviknight. It's not going to blow the doors off of anything, but it's a win condition. It's a pain in the ass. Urshifu just hits so hard. It's funny it took me this long to get to the Urshifu. Urshifu does Urshifu-y things, on the water side, the rapid strike side. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this team other than it's just well-rounded. This is very balanced. Like, you have slow mode, you have a fast mode, you got your speed control. Where's the speed control? Icy Wind, Tailwind, bulky Tailwind, not super fast Tailwind. It's no like Volbeat or Whimsicott or anything, but bulky Tailwind's really nice. I think bringing Taunt against this team is pretty nice. You can't taunt the Slowking, but I don't think you really want the taunt for the Slowking. I would want it for the Eternatus Cosmic Power. I'd want it for the Frostlass just being a pain. It gets a lot of nice support moves. The Persian, it gets a few things, even though an AV set. I probably wouldn't taunt this as much as I would the others. Garganacl, Corviknight. Yeah, taunt, and the Earthworm too. Like, Earthworm's not going to do a lot of damage, but it does like to Iron Defense. It does like to Shed Tail, things like that. So I'd bring taunt against this team. Like, it's not a sure thing, but trying to find where to put the Mental Herb, or where it's going to be. Mental Herb Corviknight, could you imagine? I think it's a good strat. But the only special attacker he really has, though, is the Eternatus, though. That might be my only gripe with this team. Is, like, Poison Dragon isn't really hitting anything super effectively. Like, it's really not. Like, Fairy, Grass, cool. But other than that, like, Poison has... Like, I guess it hits things neutrally. I don't know. Dragon hits things neutrally as well. I think we were looking at one team that didn't have a resist. Yeah, so I can see Eternatus being good into LA's team, for example, without a Dragon resist. So Eternatus is going to hit a lot of things just neutrally, which I think is just valuable with 145 special attack. So, but yeah, don't let this thing set up. One Cosmic Power, maybe an Encore. Yeah, probably an Encore. I don't play him this season, so never mind. But yeah, I don't know. This team, it has a lot of different modes. That's the other thing it has going for it. Try to dial in on a specific mode it's going to do. Like, Ogerpon, Urshifu, you can burn one, can't burn the other. Intimidate one, you intimidate the other one, it just goes right through it. He leads the Eternatus, your Intimidate does nothing. Garganacl, it's body pressing you for the most part and just sticking around with Salt Cure. You have the Mirror Armor, so do you really want to intimidate this unless it's a special Intimidator? Yeah, he's got a Tricker mode, which is, it's okay. Like, I think it's probably one of the weaker modes on his team. Slowking, Garganacl, Corviknight works in Trick Room nicely. Earthworm as well, but again, it's not blowing the doors off, so I would probably just let him go Trick Room and just deal with it from there. Like, it's not OHKOing you. Like, usually Trick Room is hyper offense. You could try to win in 5 turns once you set it, but I don't think you're really getting hyper offense with that slow mode, but it is going to be tough to finish and take out, so sorry, Riley. I love this team. Don't get me wrong. I love this team, but boring. Boring. Anyway, love you, Riley. He's the co-owner of the league. Did you guys know that? He's co-owner of the league. Yeah, next team. Rambunctious Regis. Whew. I need a minute. Hold on. We got 16 teams. Who put 16 teams in this division? How many have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, God. This is the halfway point almost. So we'll get this one done. This is actually my week 1 opponent. Not sure how I'm going to deal with him, but I think he's making some moves as well. I'm not sure exactly what, but we'll have to see from there. I think this team has a lot of nice modes as well. Like, I think you got the Sun mode, which is beautiful. You have the Eruption, double Eruption, actually, which is kind of funny. Typhlosion, Hisui, and the Groudon, so Eruption in the Sun is just really strong. And the Gouging Fire, that thing in the Sun just hits so hard as well. Beat me in the finals, too, which was kind of a pain. But yeah, you got your speed control. I don't even think you have a Trick Room setter on this team. Yeah, doesn't have any Trick Room. So I guess you can kind of dial in on fast mode. Like if you go slow mode on this thing and you can deal with the Sylveon, like can he really stop you? Like, I don't think so. Like, Hydrapple is decent, but yeah, like if you can deal with the Sylveon and the Hydrapple, I guess it's a Dragon Fairy, so it's not exactly the easiest to deal with, but it is special, both of them. The Bastiodon, I think Gyro Ball does really well on this thing and Heavy Slam, depending on its weight. No, like, I don't know. Like, I might go Trick Room on the team. I have no idea. We'll have to see how it goes. But let's see the pieces, though. We got Tailwind here. Tailwind here. Cool. We got no Trick Room, like I said. You got Fake Out. One of them. Dugong. Do you get another one? No. I don't see one. Yeah, Fake Out. Just one. Dugong's a pain. But I feel like if you just ignore it. Like a Perish Song, yeah, it's annoying. But Icy Wind, okay. But this thing isn't really blowing the doors off you. But if it's a tier 5, let's be honest. The Swalot, I've looked at Swalot before. It can set up and stuff. But again, stab poison. It's okay. I'm very impressed with the Bombardier. I think Bombardier is just a very underrated mon. Like Parting Shot. This thing loves Choice Scarf. Like it gets all the it gets Snarl, it gets Icy Wind, it gets U-Turn, it gets Parting Shot. This thing just wants to be scarfed. And its speed tier is what, 85? 82. So it's good enough to outspeed pretty much anything you want to outspeed with Scarf. So I like this thing. This Tailwind Setter. Rocky Payload's cool as well. Like just getting 3 stabs. Because Rocky Payload boosts your rock damage by 50%, which is the same as stab. So having flying and rock stab is crazy. Yeah, Bombardier, very, very cool. And 103 attack is usable. It's not super great, but it's okay. You know, it's all right. But let's talk about the main modes. The Sylveon is just really nice. It's always a staple on whoever drafts it. Yeah, like, I don't know. The Groudon is just so good. The Scovillain was a nice pick as well because, like, if you just use the double speed spicy extract on your Groudon with Clear Amulet, you just get the attack boost. You don't get the defense drop that it usually offers as well. Bombardier gets Foul Play, so you can spicy extract the opponent, and then Foul Play, so you got the double, like the using their attack stat and their defensive stat, and it just hits really hard. The Kilowattrel is nice as well. I think that was just kind of like, where I need speed control. Where is it? I don't know. Kilowattrel. You know, competitive's nice too. Honestly, Groudon, Kilowattrel gives you a nice Disquake mode, and you can Tailwind as well. Like, I don't think there's a lot of Pokemon that can do that, where you can run Disquake and Tailwind. So Groudon can be run slow or fast. So, no, you know what? Overall, I think this team is just really nice. It's kind of in a little bit of the mixed bag in a couple of places. The Gouging Fire is enabled by the Sun. The Sylveon, I feel like it's just a good mon you can throw onto most teams. Typhlosion might be a little bit of an excess, but having a Ghost type is just really nice on your team as well, just to give you that extra immunities. And it doesn't get Flash Fire, just Frisk. Ooh, Frisk is goated as well. No, good job. By the way, Rambunctious Regis actually won Ultra Ball. I can't believe I didn't even mention that. I was just so focused on getting these done. So congratulations to you. Ended up beating Matt Star in the finals. Very impressive finals as well. Very impressive season. But overall, we'll have to see how he goes. We actually met in Toronto when last season at regionals, and good dude, and the whole group of friends, all you guys were awesome. And hopefully you guys can come next time as well, and we'll hang out again. We'll go to the same pub and everything. Be great. Go down in the comments and respond to that. It's like, yeah, where do you want to meet up in the comments and stuff like that? That'd be funny. But anyway, yeah, I'll see how I do against it. You can. Hey, you know what? I did finish second place in Masterball last season, so you know what? Throw you right into the deep end right off the bat. Welcome to Masterball, you know. All right, next team. Haunting Owls, Jenne's team. I'm going to make more of an effort this season than I did last season. I just said, I don't even want to try. Moving on. Because Jenne's team, I'm always just like, I don't know. I guess I could just point out the obvious stuff and then kind of give like a summary at the end. She decided to go with Palkia, the 60-point model. Here's the thing about Palkia. Palkia loves to miss its moves. It loves to miss its moves. A lot of its strongest moves are very inaccurate, like Hydro Pump, you got the Dragon, whatever the hell it was. I think it's Spatial Rend can miss or something like that, or I forget what it is. But you can patch that up with Gravity, and she's got a Prankster Gravity Mon, so I think that's really cool with Meowstic. I love Meowstic, by the way. I think this is one of the most valuable Prankster Mons in the game, because it gets Prankster and Fake Out. A fast Fake Out, by the way, at 104. 104? 104, yeah. Yeah, anything that gets Prankster and Trick Room and all of the annoyances, like, yeah, it's 104 speed, but if you're running Prankster moves, who cares? You're going first anyway, right? Obviously, you have the Prankster Psychic Terrain with the Expanding Force. Iron Crown, which I think is cool. I'm curious to see Iron Crown run without the terrain, though, because I don't think she's going to do it every week. It's not like an Indeedee, which I think Meowstic, you're probably going to be expecting it. Like, it gets a lot of nice moves like Tickle and Switcheroo and Fake Out and Gravity and Fake Tears, things like that. So I am looking forward to seeing Meowstic on a very creative player's team. So her first round draft pick was Blastoise. Just drop it right to tier 3. Everyone's like, oh, what restricted am I going to get? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go with this model. She's like, Leroy! And just goes Blastoise. Just get the bulky water type out of the way. I mentioned earlier about the grass type being there to just be a nice switch in and pivot for resist of things that grassy types resist, as it resists things resistingly. Blastoise does the same thing, but it actually has the bulk to do it. Blastoise 100, 105. You just load into the HP because it's not fast anyway. This thing can just tank, and it gets a lot of nice moves. Like Muddy Water could just wreck your entire week. Like, I think it's a 30%. I think it's a 30% chance for an accuracy drop. One accuracy drop can literally make you win the game. It's like a full para, in a sense. Like, I'm not talking about odds and percentages. I'm just saying the effect of you getting RNG'd, the fact that it hits both sides, both of your Mons, and it has the accuracy drop on both of them, can be a little bit of a pain. And yes, this thing does get Water Spout as well, and Fake Out, and just a bunch of annoying things. So she decided to build her team around it, so I respect it. There's some other pieces as well, like obviously the Decorate stuff. Blastoise doesn't really have the offense to like kind of go off, but a +2 can do it. So enter Alchemy. I can see Fake Out, like what's called Blastoise Alchemy lead, Fake Out Decorate. Let's go, and then just go from there. I can see Shell Smash. You can't taunt the Blastoise when it has Aroma Veil in the field, so can't put it to sleep with Sweet Veil. So I don't see a lot of sleep this season. Like I think I didn't really see any sleep powder really drafted, like maybe 1 or 2, but nothing really to be concerned about. But Aroma Veil is just beautiful. The fact that it affects your partner as well, like you have to be careful not to lead too passively, like Alchemy and Meowstic. It's like, yeah, it can't be taunted, but now what? You have no pressure. But like Palkia, right? So I can see something like decorating the Palkia, just setting Tailwind. Like Palkia is fast enough, like 100 speed, and its defenses are nice. Like usually the restricteds all have pretty nice defensive stats. Cacturn, I'm curious. I have questions, but we shall see. I'll kind of leave a little bit of creativity for her. I'm not going to get, I guess, like Sucker Punch and Physical Special. It's the Focus Sash user, let's be honest. That's another cool thing about this team is it doesn't have a lot of Focus Sash users. Like, it's basically just Cacturn and maybe Talonflame. That's kind of neat. That's I try to do that on my teams as well. I'll try to find and I think Octo actually kind of drilled that into my head early in my draft leaguing, whatever you want to call it, is try to distribute your items in your draft. Like, how are you going to run them on? Like, I got Salazzle, for example, usually likes to run Focus Sash. It's pretty frail. Quad weakness, same thing with Chiampao on Space's team. You don't want to have too many things that want to run the same item. And I feel like she did a really good job because Zangoose usually wants your Toxic Orb, Alchemy, maybe a Healing Berry or Babiri Berry or whatever it might be. Maybe even a Life Orb on an offensive set. Blastoise doesn't want to Focus Sash. Mudsdale, no. Meowstic. Maybe, I never really ran Focus Sash on my Meowstic. I usually just ran bulk. It's bulky enough. Iron Crown, definitely no. Rotom, definitely no. So, yeah, I think the Cacturn can do well on a team. I get asked all the time, oh, is this Pokemon good? Oh, well, I don't know. Is it? They're like, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, what team is it on? I don't know if Cacturn has, super amounts of support on this team, but at least it's basically the exclusive Focus Sash user if it wants it. It's not going to fight for it, which is nice. Like Grass Dark, terrible defensive typing, like horrendous. It's really bad. Like it gets some nice resist and stuff like that, but again, it doesn't have the defensive stats to back up any sort of resistance. But the offense is nice. So Stab, Sucker Punch, beautiful. Rotom, 3 immunities, super nice. Hits hard enough. I think 95 is enough, I guess. It's okay. And then it just has a nice move pool. Like it gets like Pain Split, it gets T-Wave, E-Web, Will-O-Wisp, things like that. So yeah, very well-rounded team. Does she have a Trick Room setter? Yeah, I guess just Meowstic. Does Iron Crown? I don't think Iron Crown gets Trick Room, but yeah, Meowstic being a Trick Room setter. And wait, where is it? Palkia gets Trick Room. Ooh, that's kind of cute. But yeah, so Mudsdale can go off, I think, in Trick Room as well. Doesn't necessarily need the Trick Room. I'm not even going to look and see if there's beat up on this team. I don't really know. I know that Mudsdale does get on stamina and stuff like that, and you know this team's not really susceptible to Intimidate. So I think the Zangoose is well protected, unless you really, really want to intimidate the Zangoose. But I think you're wasting your Intimidate or your ability if you bring Intimidate against this team. Like, what are you doing? And you run the clear amulet or something, like whatever. But anyway, no, yeah, I hope that's long enough for me to talk about your team, Jenna. Usually I just skip past it because I don't know. But no, hopefully that was a good analysis. By the way, the priority Tailwind is just really nice as well, just to enable most things. Like I can see like priority Tailwind with the Gale Wings, with Water Spout. I can see it with Iron Crown. I can see it with Palkia. And the Zangoose really likes it as well. Get the Tailwind up, and then the next turn you can get your Toxic Orb stuff, and then you can boost your damage. So, but yeah, nice draft. I think it's. I'm curious to see how it plays. It's not as offensive as the other teams, but we'll have to see how it goes. But moving on, let's go on to the worst team in the draft. My team. See if I can repeat as first loser, second place team. So, yep. The most loseriest team ever. I went Fluttermane. Cringe, you ask? Yes. Very cringe. Not as cringe as Incineroar, but pretty cringe. Why did I go Fluttermane to start the draft? Well, if you look at all the restricteds, all of them are dragons pretty much. And I think like there's 32 restricteds, and I think maybe 22 of them are weak to either Ghost or Fairy. That's insane. So I drafted this thing to specifically pretty much just beat all the restricteds. Like a lot of them, like yes, there's Terra and things like that and supporting Cass and whatever. It's not like Fluttermane beats all of them. But it's a hell of a good start when you can hit the most strong statsy Pokemon in the league all at once. So that's why I went Fluttermane, and built the entire team around it. So the Hydreigon, yes, it hits on the special side as well, but it doesn't, Fluttermane kind of takes the ground. Like you can switch in the fighting, things like that. It sets your Tailwind if you wanted to. It's a pain, it's just a well-rounded Mon. I think as well. And also there was a point in like early Scarlet and Violet where this thing was on every team. So yes, it's a little bit of a Terra hog, but as you can see, the rest of the team doesn't really need Terra. Like I think usually offensively you might want it. The Superior, I might do a little bit of contrary stuff. I think the Terra Sterilite, Terra Blast, and Leaf Storm shenanigans I think is really cool. Shutting off this thing's ability could be a way to deal with it. But I don't think I have too many. I think I got Eerie Impulse on Rotom or whatever it is, but I didn't think I really needed it. The Ampharos too as well. Yes, there's like side moves to boost contrary, but I don't think that's what the Superior is really there for. It can do that on its own. Unfortunately, it needs a turn to get going. I'm going to try to talk about this team like it's not mine. It needs a turn to get going, so if you don't let it get going, it's pretty harmless. Like it's not really going to do much. Like neutral Leaf Storms aren't going to hit super hard at 75 special attack. But it's super bulky. You want to talk about ground switch-ins and grassiness switch-ins as grassy types switch in on things that grass resists. Superior does a great job of that. And once it's on the field, just being a little bit annoying because it gets like glare and things like that. So yeah, I think Superior is a nice pick. I paid a little. It was expensive, but whatever. Salazzle is just really awesome. It gets a lot of really nice support, and it hits hard enough on the fire stab side. And stab poison, it's kind of nice if you need it. It kind of, against Hydreigon, usually people want to go Terra Fairy or something along those lines, but Salazzle and Solgaleo kind of do a good job deterring that. Like, if you really want to go Terra Fairy, you might have those two waiting for you. So, Terra at your own risk, which last season actually was my goal in the same way. So, I kind of wanted to build the same model or the same concept behind it was I had Ogerpon Hearthflame, and it was just like, well, what are people going to do? Terra Dragon and Terra Fire usually deal with the fire and the grass stab that it dishes out. Well, I drafted Primarina, and I also drafted, what's it called? Yeah, well, I guess the water and the fairy fodder. Wow. Jay, edit that out, future Jay. But anyway, let me not go too much. I got the Rabombi on Fake Outable Tailwind, which is nice. Stantler, again, a really nice switch in for Fluttermane, being immune to Ghost. The Solgaleo switches in on Hydreigon and Fluttermane really well as well, and it's also a Solgaleo with just really nice stats across the board. Rotom switches in a lot. Yeah, this is a very pivoty team. Has some hyper offense on it, but it also can pivot as well. Golem, I know I ripped into Shadow last season for drafting this thing, but my team doesn't have any more than one quad weakness to water, and grass. So I didn't have a Hisuian Arcanine on my team, so I can draft this thing. Anyway, I think it'll do nice in tier 5 as a Trick Room option, and then you got the water stab, the cheap water stab. It's really hard with adaptability Wave Crash, so this is pretty much what I wanted. I think this is pretty much the whole team. Maybe the Rotom was a throw in that slot kind of moved around quite a bit. I think that was always dedicated to a water slot. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I got the slow mode's a little weaker than the fast mode, but it's there. It's not great. It exists. But the Fluttermane, Hydreigon, Solgaleo, Salazzle, Rabombi, Superior, like those do really well in a fast mode, just kind of hyper offensive play. Like it can kind of snowball to Superior, go at you really hard with the Fluttermane, Hydreigon, Solgaleo. And then I got the pivoty stuff as well. So I'll have to see how it goes. I'm curious to see how people prep against it, but I'm sure we'll find out pretty quickly. But moving on, Pinkan Island Paintergeist Octo. This is one of the strongest teams Octo's drafted in a while, in my opinion. I helped a bit. Like, he had an interest list, but I didn't help that much. Like this is a lot of him, and I'm very happy with it. I think the Metacham I kind of recommended, but the rest of it, like maybe the Scyther I was really pushing, but everything else was his vision, and I see it, and I think people should be afraid, very afraid. This is a very strong team. Weezing could just completely throw a wrench into any plan you ever have, just shutting off your abilities, and his, mind you, but in that case, he has no problem shutting off. Palafin, he can't shut it off. Gigas, you definitely want to shut it off. Zacian Crown, once it's on the field, one of the cool things I think you can run with Zacian Crown, actually, is you can have the Weezing and the Zacian Crown on the field. You can choose when it gets that +1. And it only activates once a game. So you can lead it, have the Weezing on the field, and then get it off the field. It doesn't activate. And then you choose it activates later. So it can actually, it's almost like an at-will +1, which is really valuable. And I also think Weezing and Zacian kind of work nicely on the field together at the same time. So we'll have to see how that goes. I see Tailwind with the Scyther. He's had this before, round 2 with it. He loves it. I see Prankster. I see Fake Out. I see Trick Room. I see a Trick Room mode. Do I see a Trick Room mode? Not really. So it's funny. Usually he goes like hard Trick Room most seasons or has like a really strong Trick Room mode. I don't really see it. Like the Palafin with the priority in Trick Room is nice. The Grumpig just isn't going to do any damage unless it sets up. Dipplin just doesn't really have the offense. But so we'll have to see. I think I don't think setting Trick Room on this team beats it, but I don't think he's going to be willingly setting Trick Room all the time. But it's Octo. Who knows, right? Nobody knows what he's going to do. No, but this is an Octo-y team. I feel like this is a team that Octo would be happy with. people kind of see what it wants to do, and he plays it as such. He gets a little creative with his ways of playing things, so we all learn about his team as the season goes on. But overall, I think it's very strong. Lando just hits so hard right off the bat. Palafin. I've had Palafin before for a short stint a couple of times, and it's hard in draft kind of pivoting it off the field. Like Protect is a must on this thing. Absolutely. Because if you just hard switch turn 1, they just destroy your switch in. And yes, it gets back on the field with like borked stats, but it's really tough to pivot sometimes. So I'm going to be curious to see how he plays it. I'm actually looking to see someone do well with it. I know Jenna had it one season, did pretty well. But yeah, really cool Mons on a really cool players team. Teehee. Anyway, love you, Octo. But moving on, yeah, the Shroodle's nice too as well. The Grumpig just has a lot of nice utility. I was talking about Bombardier being a really, really nice Scarf Mon. This thing gets all the same things as well. Maybe not a pivoting move, but it gets Switcheroo. So Scarf, Switcheroo. And then you got your Icy Wind, your Snarl, and things like that. And it gets psychic-y things, as we all know psychic types get. So, by the way, not to mention Metacham with the Pure Power. Being able to skill swap that onto, I don't know, the Regigigas. But we'll have to see if he can pull that off this season. But that was a really common, not a common, but it was kind of like a gimmicky ladder closed team sheet stuff. So Fake Out and Trick Room on the same Mon is really nice. I abused that with Gothitelle last season. And I thought it worked really well for me. So that was one of the reasons why I was pushing him to get this. It was already on his interest list, but once I saw it on there, I was like, no, you need to get this thing. And he said, yes, sir. Right away, sir. But yeah, how to beat this team? Intimidate. I feel like the special attackers are not super threatening except for the Lando. Like, if you can kill the Lando, like, I don't know what's hitting you on the special side. What, Houndoom? Like, I guess. Like, it's okay. Like, Houndoom's all right. It usually finds its way on a team. But if you can take out that Lando, like, you just intimidate the out of this team. So anyway, yeah. But also, +1 Zacian at, 150 base attack. Then you intimidate it. Oh, great. Congratulations. Now you only have to deal with 150 attack. So intimidate is only half the problem. Or a partial part of the problem. So, anywho. But that's Octo's team. Fabulous Ursalunas. We spoke a bit about this team. Like we were talking a bit about it after the draft. And I was like, you know what? I like this team. I like it. He went for the 40-point model with the Reshiram, which was actually one of my first draft plans that I put together, and then I moved off of it because I was like, nah, Fluttermane. No, I see a lot of really nice pieces. I see some synergy, and I see offense kind of from everywhere. So I really like this. You got redirection, you got fake out, you've got fast support in Inteleon, you have intimidate. Couple of them. Prankster. You got a really good Tricker Mon that sets it and uses it with your Reuniclus. You have a lot of instant damage right away. Reshiram hits really hard. Inteleon hits really hard. Gigaton Hammer from Tegaton hits really hard. Orgapon Cornerstone, Rock Stab. One of the only Rock Stab moves in the game that are any good. Well, Rock Slide, whatever. Rock Slide's just broken. But it doesn't miss. Anyway, we can talk about what quantifies as good later if you really want. And then the Avalog is just a different way of hitting. Like having Ice Stab that just is there. 117 is usable. Yeah, on the special side you can probably hit this thing, but again, you kill all the partners, 95 HP, 184 defense. You ain't killing this thing. I don't care if it's super effective. 1 iron defense, good luck. And then the GOAT, Venonat. Everything's the GOAT this video. Yeah. Venonat's just really nice. Like, it's basically, I used to call this thing basically a poor man's Amoonguss. I did some calcs. This thing with Eviolite takes hits as well, if not better than Amoonguss. Yes, it's not grass. It is bug. So it has to deal with a couple different things. But than Amoonguss does. But it is poison, so it's a redirecting fairy resist, which is really nice. That's funny that I even mentioned that because that's not really a concern on this team. Anyway, if you Terra Dragon or Terra Dark, anyway, protects the Babostive nicely. But anyway, I see Wide Guard as well. The Zebstrika, I think is really nice. First appearance in Draft League and the WPL, I think. 3 great abilities, by the way. My goodness. Like, seriously. Lightning Rod, Sap Zipper, and Motor Drive. Fantastic abilities. The speed stat is great, too. Like, I didn't realize how fast this thing was naturally. 116? That's great. I do see Focus Sash pretty much being on this thing exclusively. If he's going to run it. But, well, Inteleon too, yeah. But I don't think you need Focus Sash on, like, having 2 mods that like it. I don't think it's the end of the world, you know? And it doesn't need it because, you know, you can run other items. How specific of me. No, but I really like this team. It doesn't have a bunch of obvious modes on it. It has a bunch of ways of running it. I can see the vision. You can hit from pretty much any way you want. Notice I'm not really talking about the type chart on most of these teams, by the way, because I don't really care. I just see ways of hitting offense, and do you have switch-ins for your best mons? Ogerpon's pretty well protected. You know, you got your Tinkaton, usually switches in on most. What's it called? The fighting, you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the Lando's just a really nice switch-in across the board. But, good job. I think this team was drafted really well. Full disclosure, I actually heard that he lost his draft plan. His doc that he had all of his plans and all the backups and backups of backups and the backups of backups of backups was all gone. So nice job recovering. I feel like this team, it looks like you planned it. So you probably remembered some of it. I get it, but you know. But anyway, moving on to the next team because this video is really long. Politoed Belly Drummers. We got Encore. Does he have Encore on this team? Mimikyu? I guess? I don't know. Run Encore on Mimikyu. You have to now. Anyway, wow, surprise, surprise. Encore running Rain. Could you believe it? I can't believe it. Anywho. I feel like this is my first time ever seeing this team. I don't know why. I feel like this. I don't remember this team at all. The Fungus is a nice pick, actually. I think the Fungus was a nice addition to this team. Because, see, I don't get the Mimikyu either, though. Like, I guess you set the Trick Room for your Necrozma, but this team doesn't really want to go Trick Room. Like, I feel like this team is, maybe it's a deterrent. I don't know. I don't think you're really deterred for Trick Room with a Mimikyu. The Fungus, by all means, absolutely is. You don't want to set Trick Room unless you have like Safety Goggles or Terra Grass or whatever it is, because this thing just goes first in Trick Room. No questions asked. It goes before freaking Torkoal. That's how slow it is. And with the EV Light, this thing tanks hits like crazy. Necrozma Dusk actually was my alternative to Solgaleo. I basically saw it as there's 2 of them. They hit very similar. They have the same typing, and they kind of have the same stats, but the speed and the bulk is a little different. And the attack stat is slightly higher on this thing. This thing gets Dragon Dance. That's really cool. I think a Dragon Dance on this thing you don't want that to happen. Like, this thing has crazy coverage as an Necrozma form. And it's bulky enough. Like 127, 109. Actually, this thing's bulkier than Solgaleo. Holy crap. I guess that's where the speed went. Oh, but the HP. Never mind. The HP on Solgaleo is a lot higher. But yeah, Necrozma Dusk I think is great. It's his only dark weakness on the team, which is great. He's got a Pelipper for a ground switch in, which is great. Fire switch in, Pelipper, yeah, I feel like this Necrozma is really well protected. Crocodile switches in on the Ghost really nicely. And in the Intimidate actually. So having an Intimidate mod as a pivot is very nice to have. Just to not just get the Intimidate off, but to actually tank the hit. I feel like Crocodile does that well, and Hitmontop is just beautiful. I love Hitmontop so much. First of all, it's spinning on its head like a top. First of all. But Fake Out, Wide Guard, Quick Guard, Coaching, Feint. This thing I would have a hard time picking 4 moves. Like I really would. As for the Ludicolo, I've never really liked Ludicolo as a rain abuser. Like, it's got a great typing in Water Grass. But I feel like, what are you going to do with that speed? Like, you got the speed, great. Okay, are you going to Hydro Pump? Hydro Miss, I like to say. So, like, the rain boosted moves, I feel like just aren't
really going to connect. So I don't know. Ludicolo's okay. Like its offense is 70 and 90. Like we've been talking about offensive stats being usable. I don't think it's quite there. Like the rain boosted water moves, okay, they'll hit hard, but how hard, and will they even hit for that matter? So, the utility's nice too. Like I know Matt had it last season and I feel like he just didn't really make the most of it, and it was kind of boring and kind of didn't really know what it was doing. Like got on the field and died and just didn't really, I don't know why he kept bringing it in my opinion, but yeah, the Basculin hits really hard in the rain as well. I think is really nice. The Yen Mega just snowballs. I feel like Octo had it last season and it was nice. No, this team's good. Like the Regieleki is I feel like it's very underrated. I'm looking forward to seeing it actually being used. That thing in the rain with Thunders is just really hard to stop. So the cool thing about this team is I don't feel like this team leans on rain so much that you have to go in setting Sun or anything. You know what would be really nice on this team, which he doesn't have, is a Sun Abuser. Maybe something like even something as simple as like a Sunflora. You know what I mean? Like something that if you want to set the Sun, you have to look out for this, or like Chlorophyll or something like that. Maybe even I don't know. Like trying to think ones that are still available, like a Victory Bell or something like that, or Lilligant's a little expensive, and I don't think so, but. You know what I mean? Something that can actually better yet, just a fire type. Actually, okay, here's what you do. Hear me out. Go grab Moltres in tier 3. It's available. Moltres is a fire type. You don't have one, first of all. And second of all, it has the fire stab. So if they set the Sun, you've got it. And then you got the Hurricane and the Weather Ball for your own rain. So I think Moltres would be a great addition to this team. I don't know how you'd fit it. Or what you drop, but I don't know. Maybe the Mimikyu. I don't know. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this team. To be honest, it's okay. It's all right. It's funny. I don't like many teams with Crocodile on it, but Double Intimidate. I think Crocodile is really nice on this team actually. So again, going back to when people say, "Hey, is this a good mon?" I'm like, I don't know. What team is it on? I think Crocodile fits. You might want to run Focus Sash on this thing, though, because if you set the rain, this thing's going to die to a water bubble or a bubble beam or whatever it is. If it's still a move, whatever. I don't know. It's not going to like it. So I think Focus Sash looks really nice on Crocodile on this team. I don't see a lot of abusers, like maybe Toxicroak, Fungus if you're not running the Eviolite, but again, the Regieleki, likes to have it as well. So depending on where it fits, it's going to be kind of hard to tell in a closed team sheet. So anyway, let's move on though. Noah usually drafts fantastic teams. Usually one of the best drafts, some of the best drafts in the history of the league. I don't know what happened here though. It's very top heavy. Like Chiyu, Jugulus, Comfey, Scrafty, Terapagos. Is that even 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yikes. I don't know what 6 he's going to run on a given week. I really don't. You kind of have to bring your Chiyu every week, your Jugulus every week, your Terapagos is coming every week, the Comfey for the Terapagos. The Scrafty probably. I guess the Ditto comes every week, trying to get that second restricted on your team. I feel like this team doesn't really have an identity, though. Normally I compliment Noah's teams like crazy. But yeah, this team, I don't even know what this team really wants to do. Why is a Hawlucha there? I don't know. I guess fast coaching, I guess. For what, though? What are you coaching? I guess a Scrafty. I don't know. I definitely can see some transactions coming. He's going Chiyu again. He's running it back. The Jugulus is really nice as well. But no, I don't like this team. I just don't. I feel like there needs more offense. I don't think it has an identity at all. There's just a bunch of stuff on it. I feel like this is just you spin a wheel and just draft a bunch of random stuff on a team. I don't really see any synergy. Terapagos, Comfey. Other than that, I don't maybe the Vulpix for the Sun mode. But I see zero synergy. I'm sorry, Noah. I'm just being completely honest. I usually pump your tires pretty hard most seasons, and I believe I introduced this team, you as the coach of this team, as doesn't draft bad teams ever, and you're probably one of our best drafters. I don't know what you're doing here. I think you definitely need some TLC with your free agent moves, and then, hey, you know what? I'll eat my words. Usually we rate you the highest, and someone else finishes first. So, but anyway, yeah, the Chi is always good. It's usually on teams that are usually doing pretty well, but again, I don't really get it. This team, I feel like it's just something like maybe Jenny would draft and then she finishes first, and I'm just eating my words. But no, it's all right, I guess. Like, it's got some stuff. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Terrapagos is Terrapagos, so whatever, guy. Anyway, no offense, just I don't like this team. Anyway, worst team ever. Yeah, honestly, I do think this is the worst team I've seen so far. Sorry, Noah. I'm sure you'll watch this too, but eat shit. Anyway, Ursaluna Mold Breakers. Let's see. A whole lot of offense. This team has a lot of offense on it. Finally got his Goldango, which is really nice. I think he wanted it from Kev's last season, and Kev's grabbed it, and he was all mad and bitter and pissy, and Rob being all pissy. Anyway. I like a lot of the pieces on this team. Rillaboom is always good. Like, Rillaboom's never bad. Like, seriously. Rillaboom, Zekrom, Weavile, Clefable, Volcarona, Goldango. There's your team every week. It hits so many different ways. You've got double fake out. You've got your terrain. You've got your redirection. You've got your fire, your steel, your ghost, your dragon, your electric. This team is very good. This team might not jump off the page, I think, with the Zekrom as it's restricted, kind of leading the way, but this team is incredible. What does it not have? Like, what does it not have? I'm waiting. Like, Slowbro's a really good Trick Room setter. Like, I guess you could be picky and say it doesn't have a mode, but I don't think you really need one. Like Goldango can be run in Trick Room. I've seen it. Rillaboom in Trick Room, it doesn't mind it with Fake Out and Grassy Glide and things like that. Okay, here's the thing. I don't get the Poliwrath. Do you guys get the Poliwrath? I don't mind Poliwrath. Don't get me wrong. But I don't get the Poliwrath. I don't get it. Anyway, yeah, drop that. Drop it. It looks really cool, though. I've always liked Poliwrath. Gen 1er and all. Yeah, this is the derpiest team there is, too, because look at these two guys. Look at these two. Anyway, and they're both water type. Yeah, 3 water types on the same team. Like, why? Just drop this Poliwrath. Like, it's not doing anything. Like, coaching. Okay, fine. Get another coaching one. Like, there's like a billion of them. Anyway, moving on. I like this team very much. I'm just ripping into this Poliwrath. It's right in the center, and it's a spiral right in the middle of my eyes. It's kind of going around and around and around. Anyway, anyway, moving on to the next team. I think this is one of the best teams, by the way, just saying, after ripping into it. I think this is one of the best teams, if not the best team, next to mine, obviously. But yeah, I made the video. I can say whatever I want. So anyway, no, this team is phenomenal. Any team with Rillaboom, Goldango, Volcarona on it, my goodness. And then Weavile and Zekrom. Like, yeah, this is incredible. I didn't even get into the Squawkabilly and the Skarmory win condition, but yeah, beautiful. I guess you want to protect your Goldango with fire switch-ins. So Slowbro, Poliwrath, Quagsire, I guess. Rillaboom, Goldango. I think Rillaboom's a really good switch-in for Goldango as long as it's not fire. And then Volcarona just hits so hard. So yeah. So anyway, and the crazy thing is I think Zekrom actually fits on this team very well. Like, it just does. Like, it hits so hard. 150 attack is no joke. It gets Tailwind, which is really nice. Other things get Tailwind as well. So, like, this thing really gets up Tailwind pretty easily, especially with the redirection as well. Doesn't even need it. It's got 2 types of redirection. I think the Volcarona is set up very nicely on this team, actually. Not having to rely on its Rage Powder. And you have the Follow Me Clefable. This team is just so good. Like, yeah, I can see Rob finishing mid to higher in the standings this season. I could just see it. So, not to mention, he was pretty upset, how his season finished. So, first time in Masterball, didn't make the playoffs, just missed. And, yeah. Yep, vengeance. Anyway, moving on. St. Louis Sandshrews. Linty! So, The Giratina kind of surprised everybody with this pick. But the 20-point model, being able to grab the Blood Moon Ursaluna and the Ogerpon and his Screamtail. Notice how I said his Screamtail, because it's no one else's. It belongs to him. It belongs to him. Nobody else. This team has a lot of stuff. Like the Revavroom fits on some teams. I think it's not bad. Yeah, honestly, like the only ground weaknesses on the team are that and Flareon. Like if you really want to bring ground stab against this team just to deal with that, then sure, I guess. So Revavroom is just a really nice pick. Blood Moon Ursaluna, Rob had it last season. It was just a force. And Ogerpon just won a final. Just won the championship last season in Masterball. So this team has a lot of pieces. I see some modes. I feel like Ursaluna benefits from having like really threatening fairy stab on a team. I don't think Ninetales and Screamtail really do that. You know? So I was kind of hoping to see some kind of stronger fairy type on this team, but like this team is going to hit you hard right off the bat with like low kicks and Ursaluna and Ogerpon. But other than that, this team's pretty passive. The scary part is I think Linty got everything you wanted. You know, the Slowpoke's just a really nice low-key Trick Room setter and Trick Room stopper and whatever, and Screamtail just being Screamtail. So this team is not going to be fun to face, but at the same time, I feel like you might be able to overwhelm a team like this with offense as long as you outspeed that Ninetales. Because Ninetales Articuno did win a regional, so with the Specs Articuno and the Blizzard spam. So I think it ran actually 4 ice moves on that set too, which is crazy. All ice? It's nuts. And then cool low kicks. One of the coolest designs in all of Pokemon. Really curious to see what the Giratina does this season. And the Mienshao is just a beautiful supporting piece as well. So, yeah, nice job. I'm curious to see how it plays, but see how it goes. Actually, wait a second. That's the last team. We're done. Cool. Bye. Oh, wait. No, hold on. I was about to just end it. I was literally hovering over the stop recording. Thought it would be funny to end that way. What's the best team? I don't know. Mine. Thank you, everybody. We're done. No, I'm kidding. The best team, I guess I could just kind of quickly go through them. Kev's drafted a really good team. Like, Kev's is up there. Not LA, not Great Marsh. No. Yeah, Riley's got a really good team. Boring, but he's such a boring team. Ogerpon, Urshifu, Corviknight. Boring. Anyway. So far it's Kev's, I think. Rambunctious Regis is okay. Jenna's okay. Mine. I thought I had a really good draft, actually, not going to lie. But I can't pick mine. Octo had a really good draft as well. Fies is okay. Definitely no. You know what? Let's change it up a bit. I'm going to give the best team to Rob. That's Final Fantasy. Leveling up, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I think Rob had an incredibly strong draft. Like, this team, just get rid of the Poliwrath. I don't get it. Like, why? Stop looking at me. Stop it. Anyway. And then I would give a close second to Kev's. I think Kev's had an incredibly strong draft as well. This team just hits so hard so many different ways. And it has all the support you could possibly ask for. So, yeah. Who do I think's going to win this season? I don't know. Who wants it? Who's going to win this season? I think Space has a real good shot. Like, he's always right there in the mix. Like, Space is always in, like, top 4 all the time. You know? And I think I can't not pick him, you know? He's always in the top 4 every single season. Jenna's usually there as well, but she she just squeaked into the playoffs last season. But I don't know, like Riley, I think has a really good shot as well. I'd say Riley and Gustavo are probably my favorites. And because of the strength of the team, I think Rob has a really, really good shot as well. Like, this team can do most of the lifting. Not like he's a bad player or anything, but he's newer to Draft League. It's his 3rd season, I think. But I have to give it to the experience. Like, Riley and Space, like, they've been here since the beginning. But Space is longer tenure, so let's just give it to him. Go Space, win the gold, win everything. But mine's the best team. Okay, bye.